Hi there. In this first short video, I'll provide a brief overview of how this course is structured. There are a total of 5 sections, and each section is comprised of a couple of lectures. Most of my lectures are close to about 20 minutes each. I feel that's the best length of time to consume a subject matter. If a lecture is too short, it's like feeding M&Ms to a hungry alligator, right? The alligator never quite feels full and experiences aggravation in the process. So don't worry, I take my time to explain the concepts thoroughly and leave no students feeling left behind. So with that being said, let's go over the contents of this course. The first section will be the introduction. You'll learn the basics of how Elasticsearch works and how to download and configure it for your system. And we'll also be downloading an application called Kibana to interact with Elasticsearch. In section 2, we get into some of the specifics of how the data is stored in the engine, and you'll learn some commands for indexing, retrieving, and deleting documents. You'll learn about the components of an Elasticsearch index and also get an understanding of how distributed requests work across the cluster and what it means for a big data system to be distributed across multiple nodes using something called shards. We'll also look under the hood and get a deep understanding of how shards and segments are stored on the disk. The last lecture in section 2 will teach you about text analysis and the behind the scenes of how documents are parsed by Elasticsearch and how they're stored into something called the inverted index. Section 3 is all about how to configure the schema for your data. We'll go into great detail on how index settings and mappings configurations work and how you can define analyzers for the various fields in your index. After that, we've got sections 4 and 5, which I consider to be the practical workhorses of this course. In section 4, we'll dive deep into what is known as the search DSL. The search DSL is the syntax used to interact with Elasticsearch. It's a query language based on JSON, and it's served over RESTful HTTP. Now don't worry if these terms are new to you. I'll be going over all the basics as we use them. You'll learn about what is known as the query context and the filter context, and after that we'll cover something called bool queries and how to use musts, shoulds, and must not logic to build advanced querying and filtering components. Now I'm getting into some specifics here. Don't worry, all of this is going to be crystal clear when we get to that section. You'll also be learning about nesting queries within queries to build advanced filtering logic to get highly targeted information about your data. In addition to all of this, section 4 will also talk about document relevancy and match scores to rank more relevant documents to the top of the search results. We'll wrap up that section with lectures on aggregations. After learning aggregations, you'll become a pro at data analytics. You would have learned how to slice and dice your data in various ways to achieve high-level insight and summarization about the data. People with data analysis or data warehousing and science backgrounds are really going to enjoy the lectures on aggregations. Finally, section 5 is all about the tools Logstash and Kibana. We'll get into a real-world practical example of ingesting a fairly large publicly available dataset into our Elasticsearch cluster using Logstash. Now, Logstash is an application that facilitates a real-time data pipeline to be able to ingest data into Elasticsearch from various data sources, such as files or SQL databases. I'll show you how to configure Logstash to index a very large CSV file into your cluster, and we'll also talk about how to connect Logstash to pull data from a SQL database. After that, you'll learn some awesome features of the Kibana application. You'll learn how to create beautiful infographics and reports, such as line graphs or bar graphs, pie charts, heat maps, etc. And after you create these reports, you'll be able to publish them to a dashboard that provides critical decision-making insight into practical real-world data. Now, the primary focus of this course is going to be on the ELK stack, which is an acronym that stands for the 3 applications known as Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. Now, 70% of this course is on Elasticsearch, which is the core engine that powers this entire ecosystem. and the remainder of this course is on Logstash and Kibana. After completing this course, you'll be a competent Elasticsearch guru, so get excited about this big data technology and roll up your sleeves for mastering Elasticsearch. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the remainder of the course.